They told you it was just a game. A plastic box, a fun distraction. They lied. What you held in your hands was never just a console, it was a Trojan horse. What started as a console war became something far more dangerous. More personal, more invisible. You chose your side, PlayStation or Xbox, power or legacy, exclusives or access. But what if that choice was never really yours? What if every login, every free game, every controller vibration was part of a design to teach you, shape you, own you? Because this isn't about specs, this is about ecosystems. Data, behavior, belief. It's not just a console war anymore, it's a war for your time, your habits, your identity. And now, as consoles vanish, as the cloud replaces control, as games play you instead of the other way around, ask yourself who's really winning, and what if the war was never between them at all? This is the untold story of a battle that never ended, and the players were never in control. This is the console war, and you're already part of it. Before this became a war of games, it was a war of ideologies. Before you chose a console, someone chose a direction and vision for what gaming could become. But behind that vision stood two of the most powerful tech empires in modern history, Sony and Microsoft. They weren't just selling entertainment, they were designing the future of how the world plays, connects, and competes. It all began in post-war Japan. The year was 1946. Tokyo was still recovering from devastation. Among the rubble, two engineers, Masaru Ibuka and Akio Morita, came together to form a small electronics company. They called it Tokyo Tsushin Kogyo, which would later be known by a name the world would never forget: Sony. Sony wasn't just an electronics company, it was a pioneer. The creator of the Walkman, the Trinitron TV, and revolutionary camera sensors. But in the early 1990s, it decided to take on a bold, high-stakes mission: to bring interactive entertainment into every household. The PlayStation was born from that ambition in 1994. Sleek, futuristic, and built with powerful hardware, it instantly captured the hearts of gamers. Then came the PlayStation 2. Launched in 2000, it became the best-selling console in history. With over 155 million units sold worldwide, it didn't just win market share, it rewrote gaming culture. Sony wasn't just building consoles, they were building faithful followers. To own a PlayStation was to belong to something bigger. Across the Pacific, in Redmond, Washington, another tech empire had already conquered the world of PCs. Microsoft, founded in 1975 by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, had grown into the undisputed king of software. Windows-powered offices, homes, and governments. Microsoft Office was the global standard, but in the early 2000s, they sensed a storm brewing that could shake their monopoly. Sony wasn't just selling consoles, they were turning the TV into a digital command center, a hub for gaming, music, DVDs, and future internet integration. And Microsoft wasn't part of that equation. They feared a future where Sony would own the living room, the last screen Microsoft hadn't dominated. And so they made a decision that shocked the industry. The original Xbox was revealed in 2001. It was bulky, and it looked like something out of a science fiction movie. Until they saw Halo. With its fluid combat, rich universe, and unforgettable LAN parties, Halo Combat Evolved wasn't just a launch title, it was a revolution. But Microsoft didn't stop there. They introduced something Sony didn't see coming. Xbox Live is the first truly integrated online gaming platform. It was more than just multiplayer, it was a community. Friends lists, voice chat, achievements. Sony had the legacy, but Microsoft had the nerve. The first shots of the console war had been fired. The PlayStation 2 continued to soar. It crushed the original Xbox in raw sales, but Microsoft wasn't out. Then came the next generation. Sony stumbled hard. The PS3's complex architecture made it difficult for developers. It was expensive, delayed, Microsoft saw the gap and sprinted through it. The Xbox 360 launched earlier, cheaper, and with far better tools for developers. It hosted massive hits: Gears of War, Mass Effect, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. For the first time, the war was neck and neck, but Xbox faced its own demons. The dreaded Red Ring of Death, a hardware failure epidemic, threatened to destroy their reputation. Microsoft spent over $1 billion repairing consoles to retain user trust. Meanwhile, Sony clawed back. They sharpened their exclusives: Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War 3. They fixed their hardware. They adjusted their strategy. And with each title, Sony wasn't just selling games, they were selling emotion, narrative, and loyalty. Sony and Microsoft weren't just battling products, they were battling philosophies. Sony believed in cinematic storytelling. Microsoft believed in innovation, service-based ecosystems, and universal access. And at the heart of it all was the gamer you. Every title you played, every console you defended, every friend you gamed with online, you were part of it. And yet, this was only the first chapter. What's coming next changes everything. Stay with us. In Chapter 1, we saw how two tech giants, Microsoft and Sony, collided head-on. The first shots were consoles. The first casualties? Under-delivered promises and overheating hardware. But that phase is over. This war has changed. It's no longer just PlayStation versus Xbox. It's philosophy versus philosophy. And the battlefield, it's not the console, it's you. In this new era, games aren't just products, they're psychological experiences. You don't just remember The Last of Us for its mechanics. You remember it because it broke you. You didn't just play Halo because it was fun. You played it because it meant something. Sony crafted worlds that pulled you in emotionally. Microsoft offered access, a gateway to an ever-expanding universe of titles. One built identity, the other removed barriers. And somewhere in that tension, gamers started to pick sides not just out of preference, but out of belief. Then came the moment that redefined the battlefield. Microsoft launched Xbox Game Pass, hundreds of titles. One price, no guilt, no limits, no waiting. Sony responded by merging PlayStation Plus and PS Now, but their model still held tightly to tradition-limited tiers, because for Sony, the console is still the crown jewel. For Microsoft, the console is just one entry point to a larger digital kingdom. Microsoft didn't try to outdevelop Sony. It out-acquired them. Sony struck back with precision. Smaller but strategic. Because in this new phase, the winner isn't who builds the best console, it's who owns the stories you can't stop playing. Yes, Sony still leads in global sales. They dominate Europe, Asia, and major console markets. Microsoft holds strength in North America and PC integration. But units sold, that's no longer the full story. Now it's about hours played, subscriptions renewed, and how often your console becomes your home screen. Ask someone what game they play. What they really tell you is what ecosystem they've accepted. Sony gives prestige and story. Microsoft gives scale and choice. One appeals to your heart, the other to your sense of control, and when you argue for one online, you're not just defending specs, you're defending your digital self. This isn't about consoles anymore. It's about behavioral territory and who owns it. You don't see the battle anymore. There's no smoke, no lasers, no flashy console trailers declaring victory. But don't be fooled, the war is still raging only now. It's happening inside the games themselves. Sony doesn't just release games, it launches emotional arsenals. In 2013, The Last of Us redefined storytelling in gaming. In 2018, God of War became a playable opera, a father-son tragedy set against Nordic gods. And in 2020, Ghost of Tsushima turned history into art. Each one wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural moment. Sony's approach, quality over quantity. Exclusivity wasn't a strategy, it was a religion. Microsoft played the long game. Then came Gears of War, 2006, Forza Horizon, 2012, and Sea of Thieves, 2018. But Microsoft's biggest move wasn't a game, it was a platform. Xbox Game Pass, launched in 2017, $10 per month, shifted the terrain. No more waiting, no more $70 risks. Just play, anything, anytime. It wasn't just disruptive, it changed what ownership meant in gaming. PlayStation 4 and 5 combined, over 170 million units sold. Xbox One and Series XS combined, around 85 to 90 million units sold. But wait, Game Pass has over 34 million active subscribers, and PlayStation Plus hovers around 50 million users, combining cloud, multiplayer, and exclusive trials. But here's what neither side admits: they're not fighting for your money anymore. They're fighting for your behavior, your playtime, your pause screens. Every decision is data. Sony uses its games like sculptors use marble, creating emotional depth and exclusivity that forms identity. Microsoft uses its platform like a web, fast, sticky, wide, optimized to trap your time. And in the shadows, both are watching. Sony's adaptive difficulty can change how enemies react based on how tightly you grip the controller. Microsoft's machine learning feeds Game Pass algorithms that surface games you didn't know you needed until you press install. The console learns your frustration threshold in a difficult boss fight and subtly adjusts the enemy's health just before you quit. The storefront analyzes your play history to offer you a personalized discount on a game you were just watching a trailer for, creating the illusion of serendipity. Every notification, every daily login reward, every vibration in the controller is a calculated stimulus designed to trigger a dopamine response, tying your enjoyment to a cycle of perpetual engagement. You feel like a player making choices, but you're really a subject in a vast, ongoing experiment designed to maximize your time and spending. Every title now carries weight in the war. Elden Ring, though multi-platform, broke records in 2022, but Spider-Man 2, 2023, was a Sony-exclusive blockbuster. Starfield, 2023, became a Microsoft Flex, a once cross-platform title, now exclusive. These games aren't just games, they're pawns in a larger strategy. And you? You've already picked a side, even if you think you haven't. And the new Battlefield isn't on shelves or screens, it's inside every world you enter. You thought the battle was PlayStation versus Xbox. Two boxes, two philosophies, one winner. But that was just the surface, because while Sony and Microsoft fought for your time, someone else was watching your habits. Big tech. In the background, new players have quietly entered the arena, not with controllers, but with code. Amazon built Luna, a cloud gaming platform powered by AWS. Apple launched Apple Arcade, bundling games with music, iCloud, and more. Netflix added mobile games to its streaming empire. Meta focused on VR with Oculus and Horizon Worlds. These aren't console makers, they're attention merchants. They don't care what you play, they care when and how often. And every minute you spend gaming on a phone, a PC, or a headset is data. Meanwhile, Sony and Microsoft? They've adapted. PlayStation now lets you stream select games via the cloud. Microsoft lets you play without an Xbox, just xCloud and a browser. Crossplay is now common. Shared engines like Unreal or Unity power both sides. Some exclusives even go multi-platform after a few months. So are Sony and Microsoft still enemies? Not exactly. They compete in public. But in the shadows, they share tools, engines, and even profits. You don't just play the game, you become the product. That's where this story leaves you. Not with one winner, but with one truth. You are the battleground now, and as the lines between gaming, social life, commerce, and identity blur, the question isn't who wins the console war, it's what's left of your choice when the game never ends. It all began with two consoles, two tech giants, two competing visions of how we should play. Over time, we picked sides. Some chose cinematic storytelling and immersive narratives. Others chose open access and unlimited choice. And without realizing it, we didn't just buy consoles, we joined tribes. We wore those choices like badges. But beneath the hardware, beneath the war we thought we understood, something else was unfolding. This battle wasn't really about teraflops or controller shapes. It was about grip not on your hands, but on your habits, your emotions, and your attention. PlayStation gave you unforgettable stories to believe in. Xbox gave you freedom to explore entire libraries. But both built ecosystems that didn't just invite you to play, they trained you to stay. So now, before the next console generation drops, before the next announcement, the next hype cycle, the next game, ask yourself this. Maybe the path was already written and you just pressed start. Because this wasn't just a console war, it was a blueprint, a system, and whether you realized it or not, you've been inside it all along. The console war, you didn't just play it, you were written into its code, and the game is still running.